Okay, before we get started, the disclaimer. This is not a how-to video. I'm not here to show you how to do wiring. That's not my job. I'm just here to give you ideas about what to do for your electrical install and what you think you need, and give you some tips and hints about how to go about it. By no means should you take what I'm showing you to do as gospel. This is just what I do. Yes, I admit, I am an electrical professional. I've been doing this for like 50 years. This is old hat to me. But remember, what you're seeing me do here is a temporary install. It's only got to work for 2 or 3 months. And it's very basic. All I'm doing is putting in lighting and a couple of power outlets to charge camera batteries and run a computer and stuff like that. So if you've never done any electrical work on a vehicle, please do not attempt to do it by yourself. Always have somebody that knows how to do this job help you out. There's a reason why the largest number of vehicle fires in RVs and campers starts off of electrical fires. Shoddy electrical work is extremely dangerous, and if you don't know what you're doing, you can very easily burn your camper or RV to the ground without even thinking about it. So always get some help if you've never done anything like this. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Here we are. Of course, we have the plan. The plan. This is what I want it to do, a very simple diagram, and we'll get it one step at a time. How about a little background here? 3 years ago, I started getting tired of packing ice around. I'd been doing it my whole life with ice and coolers. And the first little 12 volt, small compressor for portable refrigerators were coming online. And I decided, by golly, I'm just going to buy one and see what they're like. So I bought a Booz RV 30-quart cooler or refrigerator and a Bluetti EB70 power station to power it. And because I have a Toyota Tacoma access cab, there's not a lot of room inside there. And at the time, the back of the truck was an open bed. So I had put the refrigerator behind the passenger seat, and I put the power station in the passenger footwell. Because 99 times out of 100, if I go camping, I'm driving by myself. So for 3 years, that's the way it's been. Power station in the footwell, refrigerator behind the seat. Don't like that. So in this instance, what we're going to do is I'm going to move that power station here into this electrical compartment. It's going to take the place temporarily of the batteries. Okay? So the power station won't be under the passenger well anymore, it'll be here. The problem with that is that when I installed those, I put in an auxiliary power station in the passenger footwell behind the plastic kick cover. And that is a switched fuse panel, which means it only gets power when the truck is running. And that's where my power for charging the power station comes off, and that's where the power for my air compressor comes off. So the first thing I had to do was fix that. The power lead for my air compressor was the victim. It comes out of the fuse panel. Getting distracted by the mailman came by. Anyway, the lead for the air compressor is a 30 amp circuit. It comes out of the circuit panel and comes behind the passenger seat, and it sits on the floor below the refrigerator. So in order to use the air compressor, you just open the back door and plug it in. So what I'm going to do, well, in fact, at this recording, I've already done it. I did it ahead of time. I'm showing you the pictures now, where I extended that lead for the air compressor and brought it out the back of the cab and into the bed of the truck, and it now comes out in here. So that's going to be my power source to charge the power station and run the air compressor. I also brought, since I'm moving the power station back here, I had to run a power lead from here back into the cab to run the refrigerator. So I've done that too. So we have power coming back here for the power station, and power from the power station going back into the cab to run the refrigerator. Sounds a little complicated, but it's pretty easy. It's only 2 sets of wires. So anyway, those are in here already, and you've seen the pictures of what I've done to get that to happen. Okay, before I get too involved, this is a close-up view of the plan for this particular job. Okay, red is the battery charging for the power station. It's coming from the fuse panel behind the kick plate on the passenger seat, along the back of the cab on the inside, through the cab, into the back of the electrical compartment here in the corner, and goes into a 12 to 24 volt converter to bump the voltage up to 25 volts to charge the power station. That'll give me the maximum input to the station, which is 200 watts. That's all it can take. So this will be a 200 watt input to the power station. From the power station, remember I said that we have to feed a line back into the cab in order to run a refrigerator, because the power station used to sit up here. Well, it doesn't anymore. It's back here. So now I have to run a lead from the power station, this one right here, to the 12 volt fridge in the cab. So I've already done these two. They're both back here in the electrical compartment. So we'll get to those later. Now, this is the main power coming in to charge everything back here. And I need to run both my air compressor off of this and the charger, this thing here, this charger also has to plug in to this. So in order to do that, I have this. This is a 4-way Anderson power divider. You can order to get these online. Any place that sells Anderson should sell these. And we just plug it in. I now have 3 outlets on this one supply. Alright, looks like a spider web or a rat's nest or a bowl of spaghetti, doesn't it? Well, it's really not as complicated as it looks. Okay, here's the big one. Remember, the big red and black one. This was the wire coming from the cab to come back here and provide power for charging. And it is, you see here, plugged into this 4-way block. And off of that 4-way block comes this wire, which is coming from the air compressor. And this wire, which is going over here to my power divider. Well, it's not a divider. It's, think of it's a booster. It's a 2-to-1 step up. Gets 13 volts coming in and about 25.5 going out. So this is going in from the big power block through that, and when it comes out here to this power cord for charging, it's at 25 volts and putting out about 200 watts. So that can get plugged into our charging port. The other thing that we have going now is an added one. That's all coming in, going through the power block, doing what it needs to do. And this other one, this is the one going out. This one is, this plug here is going to feed the refrigerator that's going in the cab. So that's where this other line goes. It goes back into the cab. It's all done here. So now All the power is run from the cab and back to the cab. All the big wiring is done in here. The only thing now we got to do now is go from here out to put in all the lights and stuff. But we have our power source now, and it should be good to go. We're going to test it here in a minute. And when it's tested, then we can start working on the wiring the lights and the outlet stuff. Alrighty. It says we're charging at 186 watts, just like we're supposed to be. That's a good thing. Now we're going to test the air compressor. It's out of your view, but you'll hear it when it starts. We have our air compressor. We have our battery charging. Now I'm going to take the meter and go up front and check and see what the voltage is at our refrigerator cord. Okay, we're inside the back of the cab. Here's our outlet, our plug for the refrigerator, and it's 13.2 volts, just like it should be. So that means all of our wiring's good. We're ready to install all the outgoing wiring from the power station out to all the lights. And we'll mount the lights and start doing that next. So I'm mounting this one up here, just a little bit above this cross beam, right in the center. There we go. That'll be the normal light for just lighting right around in here. I wasn't kidding when I said that what sticks to this tape best is the backing on it. This red stuff here, that stuff does not want to come off. That's two. Let's see here. Come on. Get that plastic off. Boy, that is sticky stuff. I think that looks reasonably straight. Ta-da! It's done. Again, this masking tape is not a permanent thing. It's just to hold it up here while I work. Now, see, over here in the bottom right corner for you, let me see if I can adjust that. Okay, over here in this corner, you got to run this wire past to this thing here. And where that frame is, there's a gap, but that is just plain aluminum. And this is raw wire. I don't want it to rub up against that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get some shrink tubing and put over that and heat it, put it in place, and then tuck it in there, and that'll protect it. And at the same time, this wire here is going to come over, and we're going to join these wires together right here and shrink tube them so that they're protected, and then continue running it on down toward the front. Okay, that's next. Let me go get my shrink tubing and we'll continue on. Okay, we're back. It's hot in here. Sun's beating down on the roof, and the glue on that cheap masking tape doesn't stick. It just kind of falls off. So I had to switch over to duct tape, and even it's kind of iffy. But if you look up here, I got the splice done. That's underneath this piece of duct tape. It's all heat shrinked. You have heat shrink here to protect the wire, and this goes over to the light. This one here is going to go over where the fan's supposed to go as soon as I can get it taped up. All right, let's see where we're at here. There's the light wire, and I got to come up here and we got to put a splice in here. So what I'm going to do is split this and cut some insulation off on each of them and then solder these onto that. Now this is very easy stuff to split down the middle. You just take a little knife blade and poke straight through the in between them where the zip cord meets and just kind of pull it apart. Then we're going to come in here and using the right size for this wire, we are going to snip the insulation. Simple as that. Let it cool for a couple of seconds, put a little bit of tape over it just to keep everything from moving around, and then cover it up with the shrink tube. Okay, the way these are working, there's the black ones. And the red ones. There we go. And it'll look like that. Yep, I said we were going to do the unthinkable and punch holes in the truck or in the camper. Yes, we are. This isn't part of the video originally, but the Amazon guy was nice enough to stop by and leave me a shore power plug and a SAE plug to use for bringing solar power inside. So those are going to go in, not next, but very soon. Because he also brought me this. I've been waiting for this. This is my marine power outlet that's going to go over here. You probably can't see it. It'll go on the sitting bench here in the back corner, just about where the air compressor sits. So that'll give me a way to just kind of sit stuff on the sitting bench and plug it in to charge it. But this will be the next thing to get wired up. Well, good morning. We're back after a couple of days off. Hot, sweaty days because it was 106 out there on 4th of July in the desert. Anyway, this is our next thing. We're going to put this in. This is a marine power port, and it's going to go on the side wall of the storage box. And I was just sitting here doing some pre-wiring of it, making sure that everything is where it's supposed to be and everything is tight before we install it. Unfortunately, when you buy these, you're going to mount them on a wall, you have to cut holes for the ports and then stick it in and then wire it. So I have to pull all this wiring off, and we'll just use this backing as an outline and drill our holes for it and get it installed. Shouldn't be a problem. Might take 45 minutes to do the whole job. We'll find out. we go. I need an easy button. That never happens. All right, now let's make sure this is going to work. Power on. Okay, the blue light's on, indicating we have power, and it says we have 13.3 volts available. That's a good sign. Let's see, let's check the 12 volt. I'll do that with my multimeter here and this little 12 volt accessory adapter. And the 12 volt outlet is 13.25 volts, just like it's supposed to be. That's a good thing. And to test the USB plugs, I have, because it's 108 degrees outside right now, I just happen to have a fan. Ah, nice and warm. Nothing like blowing 100-degree air on your face, but it's working, and that's all that counts. Okay, it's time. Here's our project for the day. This is a 110 volt shore power connection that we're going to mount on the left side of the truck and the front part of the camper, right up next to the electrical box. This takes a 2-inch hole, and I just happen to have a 2-inch hole saw. This one will mount up above it. This is the solar power input. It's a standard SAE, Standard American Engineering type electrical plug, and this takes a 7/8 hole, and I happen to have a hole saw for that too. So without further ado, let's get the carnage started. Okay, not so sure if the camera can see that or not, but right here is a little silver dot. I painted that on there just a minute ago. It is 4.5 inches out from the front of the camper, and it's just about 4 inches from the bottom. That's right where I wanted it to be, because right down below it is where the electrical box is. And this will give it plenty of room for the 2-inch diameter hole, and we'll get that in there, and up above it will go the next one for the solar panels. You topo owners out there, you're looking the other way, right? Okay. See, there's our pilot hole. Now let's go get the big one. Alright, this might get a little noisy. This does have an arbor in the middle of it to keep it centered, but I still like to have a pilot hole in there to make sure nothing wanders around. Bingo. There's our hole. Be back in a second and we'll deburr that and be good to go. Beautiful. Now we'll go in on the inside and screw those into place. This is the input for the solar panels, and what we're going to do is this lead here, which is plugged in to the charging port at the moment, this is coming from the converter, the 24-volt converter that's being fed by the car. So what I'm going to do here is disconnect that, and we're going to connect it to the solar input. So now we're charging with solar. And it says 112 watts input right now. Which for two, that's about 50%, which is not bad considering all the crap that's in the air right now. I have this plugged in to the shore power. This will be my shore power connection system for the next few months. Hopefully it will work. And what we're going to do is plug in the AC adapter for the Bluetti and see if it'll charge bad off the AC power, not air conditioning. Green light's on, the fan's running. I got more wires here than I know what to do with. Okay, it's plugged in. And 180 watts. I'd say everything's working. We have 120 watts coming in on solar, and right now 190 watts on the 120 volt AC adapter. So there we go. I have 120 available, I have solar available, I have charging coming from the battery, that's available, and all the lighting wiring is done. I'd say this project is finished. Thank goodness. Well, that's it. This episode is done. Basic, very basic electrical wiring, from lights, fixtures, all the way back to the source, and getting power sources to the source so that the power station stays charged. Well, I hope it made some sense to you, and I'd like to say thank you for sticking around this long if you did. I know it's not the greatest and most exciting thing in the world, but this is one of those processes that you have to do for your camper in order to make it work right. Electricity is the lifeblood of the whole system. So you've seen how I did it, and I hope it gave you some ideas and some little tips and how-tos on how to get things done. For now, hope to see everybody out there and not quite so sweaty next time. See ya.